So I want to have a conversation about perceived value, which I call pay what you can. My studio has always functioned with the mantra satisfy my soul or pay me. And part of that is because, like, when you talk about arts value, usually they talk about the years of training that it took, like that, yes, I could do that in 15 minutes because I studied for 20 years, right? Yeah, I've been doing my thing for about 20 years, and in some circles of the world, my capacity and aptitude is worth $10,000 a day, which to me is just absurd. Like, the whole idea that I could be worth 10 grand a day is ridiculous to me. I grew up in a trailer a mile down a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, Florida, surrounded by horses and cows. Like, I didn't have my own room until I was 12 because we couldn't afford the space. So the idea that I could be worth that much money to some people has blown my mind. Because when I do letterpress, I'm worth like $5 a card. Like, market says that the same skill set, in fact, the same exact aptitude when applied in a slightly different arena of the world is worth $5 a pass. How does that translate? That in one area of my life, I could be worth maybe tops $50. Let's say it's a poster, right? And I could sell it for $50. Like, the cognitive process that got me to that print is the exact same cognitive process that got me to that facilitation session. And one of them is worth 10 grand, and one of them is worth $50. Since I have a toe in both of these worlds, and since I can see it from this perspective, I have a very hard time assigning specific values to what I do, because I know it depends on who I'm talking to and where I'm at. For me, what I do is because I love it, right? Like, I chose to build this studio because I wanted this studio. I print because I want to print. I didn't print because I wanted money. I don't make art because I wanted money. I make art because I really love the craft of communicating on behalf of complicated ideas. I really love what I do. I love the whole world that it inhabits. I love the conversations that I get to have with other professionals. I love how it inspires me. I love how it helps me see the world. Like, I do this because I love to do it. And what I'm looking for is contributions from your being to my being, based off of what you can do, right? Like, I don't want to insult you with assumptions about your status in life. I don't want you to feel like you can't participate with me because there's a paywall between us. I tried doing Patreon. I've tried twice. I then made the connection Patreon and patriarchy, kind of the same deal. I also then realized that the entire payment model is contrary to how my studio was constructed. And so I stripped everything down. I went back to my basics, worked with my developer, and he's made everything on my site pay what you can. All the letterpress, everything else is pay what you can. I'm going to be listing all of my articles and the content that's going to start to contribute to my future book. It is also going to have a pay what you can. All of these videos are also an opportunity. You can Venmo me based off of the strategy work and everything that I release here. You can simply contribute. If what I am doing is working for you and you think this is great, throw something in my pot. Help me out, and I will continue to pay it forward. That's how this is going to work. Because I don't want to have repeated conversations about sales and holidays. I don't want to apply in standard marketing gimmicks. I don't want to use the tried and true systems of this is what I made and this is what I expect you to pay me for it. I want to create a community that supports creative confidence. I want everyone to feel like they belong. I want everyone to feel like they have value. Because one of my biggest issues with how we assign value is that it's very much rooted in white male supremacy and patriarchy. We have long assigned a dollar amount to women and people of color. And that dollar amount has always been lesser than what the white men around us are paid. That dollar amount says that what we have to offer the world, who we are, and how we present ourselves is what warrants our paycheck. And if you do what you love, you're probably going to make less. I know a lot of people who do what they love. Like, I'm surrounded by a creative community who is really passionate, and they're scrappy, and they're hardworking, and they're busting ass all the time, but they don't necessarily have a ton of money. We give what we have to give. We support each other with what is available to us. And sometimes that's sharing our creative talent and not getting paid for it. Sometimes it's showing up for things when you know it's important to them. Sometimes it's helping that person on a bad day, or giving them a side hustle, or whatever it is. Like, we have each other's backs because we offer what we have to the person who is in the most need. And my studio was built with that framework. And trust me, I've had a lot of business coaches over the last year talking to me about how I engage the world. And I will tell you, all of them hate that I have a sliding scale. They all see my value based off of that higher end mark of what everybody perceives my worth to be. But, you know, I grew up a really poor kid, and I'm happy in a tent in a sleeping bag. Like, I'm a backcountry camper. I have very simple needs. I believe in leave no trace ethics. I believe in that sustainability is a more complicated conversation than anybody wants to admit. And part of it is this conversation of how we assign value to things. I know that I have value regardless of how much money is in my bank account. I know that I am worthy of love and kindness and respect. I know that I am worthy of the contributions that you have to offer. Like, and that's entirely up to you to decide for yourself if you think that's also true. And so the question that I ask everybody when we engage is, what is it worth to you? What is it worth based off of what you have to give? And I can work with that number from there. On the site, if you go, it's really simple. Everything comes with a suggested price. The suggested price is what we would have sold it on the market, or what we used to sell it for when we assigned specific prices to things. But you can put anything in that cart that you want. So you could, and I think it goes up to 5 figures. So yesterday I received an order from a friend who knows that I'm changing some things around, and paid $250 for a $25 order. Now, that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is putting $1 in there and paying shipping. And because what I want the most is for you to feel respected, for you to feel welcome, for you to feel like you belong, and for you to feel like whatever you have to give towards the mission of this studio and the body of work that I seek to create in social impact, and having a conversation about how we could create a different kind of world, whatever you have to give to that conversation is worthy, right? Like, I'm grateful. And I will seek to show as much gratitude as I can to all of you for following this path with me. You can, and even for my professional services, which are also listed on the site, like, everything is up for discussion. Like, I'm up for finding innovative solutions, but I do know what it's supposed to be worth. So I'm going to tell you what it's supposed to be worth. And then we'll talk about what it can be worth to you, right? And that's the question I want to know. What is it worth to you? And through this process, we can continue to support a culture of a giving economy, shared power, and social change. And that is what I really want. I want to make an honest effort to prove that together we can dismantle some of these systems, and build a new one that respects everyone for who they are, how they love, and what they have to give. Thanks.